Hi, this is Stephen Simpson. I'm Managing Director of Simpson Reynolds and Associates. Firstly, I wanted to say thank you very much indeed for joining us on this very brief presentation. We're going to cover off a high-level overview of the Australian Research and Development Tax Incentive Programme to give you a better understanding of the eligibility criteria for the programme, and also to give you an indication of what you may expect if you actually go through the process with us. Okay, so before we get into the detail of it all, I thought I'd share this interesting statistic with you. According to Oz Industry, 30% of all Australian businesses are eligible to apply for this scheme, yet only 0.1% actually do. Quite a staggering fact there, but obviously it shows the opportunity that exists out there for businesses to tap into this valuable resource. Okay, so who's eligible to apply then? Well, simply put, any company is, as long as they're engaged in innovation. That could be, for example, a creation of a new product, a new manufacturing process, a new technology, etc. So really, the uniqueness of what it is you're doing is the qualifying criteria. There are two main deal breakers, if you like, in this. One is you really need to be an incorporated body that pays tax in Australia, and the other is you need to be spending more than $20,000 a year on the eligible activities. As I mentioned in an earlier slide, this scheme is open to companies from all industry sectors, so it's not just restricted to the science and healthcare industries, and that's quite a commonly held misconception. So what do you get if you're actually accepted into the scheme? Well, that's all down to your turnover level. If you're turning over less than $20 million per year, then you're eligible for a 45% refund on all the expenditure relating to the R&D activity. If your turnover is greater than 20 million, it takes the form of a 40% tax offset. Now, what I do need to stress about this scheme is this is an entitlement, it's not a grant. So if you are actually accepted into the scheme, you are guaranteed to receive either the 45% refundable payment or the 40% offset. So I thought it'd be useful just to actually do a worked example just to demonstrate how the scheme works more graphically. So here we have a hypothetical company called ABC Company Pty Ltd, and you'll note that that's a manufacturing business with an aggregated turnover of about $2 million per year. In this instance, this company would be eligible for the full refund because it's under the $20 million mark. So we've determined that they have eligible expenditure of $150,000 in the last financial year. So the example here is just 45% times 150,000 to give us an expected refund of $67,500. So assuming that there is absolutely no other outstanding tax debt to the ATO, then that's the refund that they would receive in full. So what sort of expenses can you actually claim? Well, that's really very specific to what it is that the activities that you're carrying out and what the innovation is. But just as a rough guide here, you can claim a portion of, say, direct wage costs, rent, depreciation of equipment, raw material inputs, etc. But again, please, I need to specify that it's very much down to the activity that you're carrying out. I can tell you some ineligible costs. Marketing costs are not claimable, and unfortunately neither are IP or trademark costs. So that's just some eligible and some ineligible costs for you. I thought at this stage it'd be useful to give you some sort of indication as to the timeframes involved in submitting an application through to actually having it processed by the Australian Taxation Office. So starting point is proof of concept. Essentially, this is prepared by us on behalf of the company, which spells out in detail why we believe the company should be accepted into the scheme. And Oz Industry are tasked with making a determination on the basis of that submission. So once we've submitted to Oz Industry, we would expect to get a determination from them within about 2 to 3 weeks. So now this is where we really get to work. We can start with the identification of the R&D expenditure. We also work very, very closely with your own tax professional to ensure they understand the process and are very comfortable with all the expenditure that we've identified. Now it's just down to your tax advisor. They have to decide when they are going to lodge or when they're not going to lodge. The research and development schedule must form part of the annual tax return for the company. So yes, it's just basically down to their timing. Once the annual return has been processed by the ATO, you can expect your refund within typically about 6 weeks. Okay, to summarise, basically we just take care of the whole process from start to finish. We work extremely closely with your tax professional so that the whole process is very, very smooth. So that's it. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to watch this short presentation on the R&D tax scheme. Look, we'd love to hear from you, and to that end we've put a couple of links below here which will allow you to either book a 15 minutes obligation-free telephone consult with one of the directors of the company, or you can of course just drop us an email or pick up the phone. We'd love to hear from you and to really telling you a bit more about this great scheme. So thanks once again, and enjoy the rest of your day.